Hey, got a fun tag for you. I was just trying to think of something that would be right up everybody's alley. And I think it'll fit anyone, even if you're not a professional tarot reader. I think we've all entertained it, right? I did it for a little while, and I couldn't really handle working for a professional hotline just because I think it took, I don't know, kind of took it was like fast food, you know what I mean? You only got so long to prepare it, and just I don't know, it's not the same as going to a 5-course meal restaurant or a nice 5-star restaurant and getting served good, or even just going to some place that takes a little while in the kitchen to make. But anyway, um, what if we had the time to answer the questions, right? What if we had time to answer the Querent's questions with consideration? And like when I worked on the hotlines, I had, one deck that I used. I didn't have time to really look for one. Oh, this would be perfect. So let this tag be about having the time to pick the right deck. So I came up with 10 questions. I'm going to pick 5 of them, but I will make sure that the 10 questions are available for you in the description so that you can pick your 5 questions. And then, tell me what deck you would use to answer that question and why. And if you feel like, being froggy and answer the question, show me your process. I want to see your process. So I'm going to pick 5 questions, and I think I will maybe answer a couple of them and just see how it goes. And yeah, we don't want it to be too long, but I think 5 questions, pick 5 decks, tell me why you picked that deck, and maybe answer a couple of them with how you would, and let's dig in. All right, so I got 10 real life questions for the Tarot Reader's Deck Dilemma. And I will also put these in the description so that you can pick the 10 you would like for yourself. So these questions reflect common, ethically centered queries a querent might bring to a tarot reader. Your challenge is to choose 5 of these that resonate most with you. And for each one, pick the tarot or oracle you'd use to answer it and explain why. And if you would choose to answer it, please do so. So the questions is 1, I just found out my partner was unfaithful. What do I need to know to decide whether to stay or leave? 2, why do I keep attracting emotionally unavailable partners, and how can I change this pattern? 3, I'm unhappy at my job. Should I stay and try to shift my role or start planning a change? Now, I am not going to lie. I have had these questions. 4, how can I improve my financial situation over the next 6 months? That one too. I mean, these are real questions from real people. 5, my relationship with a close family member is strained. What role am I playing, and how can I begin to heal or create boundaries? 6, I feel lost or disconnected from my purpose. What steps can I take to realign? 7, what lesson am I being asked to learn in this current life challenge? 8, I have 2 paths ahead of me. How can I best choose the one that's aligned with my highest good? 9, what do I need to release in order to move forward with clarity? 10, what's blocking my self-confidence? How can I begin to reclaim my power? So let's see. I feel like that first question I just found out my partner was unfaithful. What do I need to know to decide whether to stay or leave? I feel like that's a real, I mean, oh my goodness, I think I had more of that question. And not just that question. I would also, they would ask again about, you know, does he love me? And those were the questions that I couldn't answer. You know, I could answer questions like, well, I can tell what kind of effect he has on you. You know, I can tell what he's doing to your energy, but I can't tell what is happening with him. And honestly, I just can't, you know. Yeah. And whether the cards could or not, I felt it was kind of unethical to even try, you know, to try and figure that out. So that's just me. Everybody has different ways of doing things. But so I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick number 1. Now, here's the deck I picked. So I did pick my the Tarot of Aphrodite for this question. Plus I have this as a clarifier, and I did also grab out my Faded Oracle, because sometimes, I mean, and this one is specifically for love, so sometimes this is a nice clarifier, and it's, you know, short and sweet. Maybe not so sweet sometimes. But anyway, so the question is, I just found out my partner was unfaithful, and what do I need to know to decide whether to stay or leave? So I picked something that seems highly romantic because I think there's a lot in a question. Obviously, well, not obviously, but I think there's 2 different types of people, you know what I mean, in that might entertain this question with, should I stay or should I go? I think that, you know, a lot of us might be like, oh, keyword unfaithful. Yeah, there's no question. I'm leaving. I'm not entertaining staying. And then on the other side of that is the person that is like, well, maybe there is a reason, and because I am so forgiving, or maybe there's other reasons, you know, codependency or whatever, that would entertain the question of, should I stay versus should I go? So, I mean, I feel like that is a person that is very romantic at heart, you know, the latter, that is entertaining staying because, you know, they are very much, they identify with pain, you know, they identify with the heartache of love. It's almost poetic sometimes. Am I a romantic? Yes. And that could be why I'm very drawn to this. So let's get into the question. Okay, so first, honestly, I would connect with my querent by asking permission to do so, you know. And then for something like this, something like a question that is very much centered around, should I stay or should I go? You know, regardless of finding out if their partner was unfaithful or not, or they said they just found that out, I need to know more about the querent, okay? So I would be looking for a significator. Now, I could go and pull it out, but I think that it's necessary to get some insight into who the querent is, because I think that's detrimental to should they stay or should they go. You know, their higher self is trying to find out what's best for them. And of course, that's the same with my higher self. So with allowing that connection, it's both higher selves asking the question. So let's find out more about the hypothetical querent here. So I'm looking for a significator, and for myself, I look for major arcana and court cards to give me a good idea. So let's Let's find out more about the Querent right now. I know I'm long-winded. Okay. There are some cards that just flipped over. We got a Three of Swords and a Princess of Cups. Wow. Okay. That's pretty descriptive, I think. That says right there that this person is very much questioning themselves. The Princess of Cups, she's very loving. She's very sensitive. She's emotional and may not have good control over her emotions, and obviously she is experiencing a sense of betrayal and heartache. That really says it all. So should she stay or should she go? I'm going to pull another card on that question right there to see what her highest self truly thinks. Should she stay or should she go? Well, that's a new perspective, right? That's a new idea. So there's the truth is then, like the bottom line is that they obviously, I think that the unfaithful part is what is clear here, right? So now I think I will move on, and I think we're going to ask the romance angels. Nope. I take that back. I'm allowed to change my mind. We're going to go with the Lover's Oracle. Now, with this being heart-shaped, for something like this, I am going to just kind of let's see, I want to make sure I got them all the right way. I'm just going to, pull a card. Actually, let's turn them around. That she and I are drawn to, right? Okay. There it is, right here. Okay. My beloved, though we may be physically apart, spiritually we are always united. For love transcends space and time. Nothing is missing. Oh, goodness, that's not really clear, is it? But that could be, though we may be physically apart. Well, I do think this could be something like a twin flame relationship. That means, I would say that this means that just now is not the time. Okay, I would, whatever this meant to her, I would think that maybe there's a soul connection that goes beyond this particular lifetime. So this is a lesson that she's learning in this lifetime. And we're just going to straight up ask, what should she do? And this one, I think we're going to let this one just land on top in the shuffle of should she stay or should she go. Let this one land on top in 2 and 1. I know this has happened to you, right? This has happened to me. The cards are not extremely clear. Again, I think that there is so much more going on here than it's just not black and white, right? For something like this, I would just keep pulling. Something is going to be definitive, right? And I'm going to go back to the tarot for this one. I would really love to know your process. And that's one of the reasons I thought, let's do this as a tag. Let's create this hashtag and have some fun with these questions. Obviously, these are hypothetical, but these are real situations with real people, right? So I would definitely have to have a little bit more clarification, because this is not a reason to stay. And I don't think that this is truly a reason to stay, but it's something to consider. So, yeah, I would definitely say we need a little bit more clarification, and we're going to take whatever comes up at this point. I would say that this says, know why you're staying, and this is, if you stay, this is what you're going to be presented with. So this kind of puts it back in her lap, saying the choice is ultimately yours. If you stay, there's going to be some tough times. There's going to be a lot of stuff to work through, and you're going to need others. You're going to need some support. And if you don't stay, it's going to be the same thing. So the cards are not being clear, particularly because this is a decision that the cards cannot help the querent with. And that would be my final, I would be, you know, if you stay, it's going to be hard. Do I think that there's a reason to stay? Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes. Do I think that sexual chemistry is the only reason to stay? No, but there's obviously more going on. And I do feel like this is a soul contract here. We may not have gotten the Two of Cups or the Lovers to show that, but I feel like that is definitely something that's going on here. She asked, should I stay or go, after the question of, he was unfaithful. Yeah, that would tell me that this person sees deeper into things, or they're codependent. Yeah, but honestly, I think that this is just making the querent aware that regardless, if you stay, it's going to be tough. There's going to be a lot of struggle, and you're going to need support. Either way. Yeah, that was long, but these are real questions that really, they come up. All right, let's pick another one. All right, so the question I picked is, my relationship with a close family member is strained. What role am I playing, and how can I begin to heal or create boundaries? I feel like this Rider-Waite-Smith can be used for anything. And in fact, when I worked for the hotlines, I used this for anything. But if I had had time to pick something, which I also have the full size, the regular size, I would have picked my light seers. Because it's very soft, it's gentle. And this is definitely one of my go-to decks. I love the gentleness in it, and I love that it's so, I still can see the Rider-Waite-Smith, in my eyes. But this is just like an added layer. And for something like a question like that, my relationship with a close family member, this is going to be a very sensitive situation. And so I think that the deck itself would have to be very soft, nurturing, but still enough to say, there are some important issues that need to be addressed. And I think that this would be excellent. And then I think a good clarifier would be an oracle deck. I picked my Wisdom of the Oracle Pocket Edition. And I do love my Pocket Tarot and Oracle because I can take it with me everywhere, and you never know when you might be presented with a question. Now, professionally, if I was in like at an expo, I could use full size too. But when I'm going somewhere that room might be something that I don't have, I do prefer something smaller that doesn't take up a lot of space that I can throw in my purse. So for that particular question, I would definitely use Light Seer. And then I think that this one is very soft also, but also to the point. The images are even, they're kind of simple, but they're soft. And the messages within the book are very, to the point. There's not a whole lot. You've got an essential meaning. You got the oracle's message. You also have a relationship message. prosperity message, protection message. Kind of covers it all. All right, let's pick another question. All right, so another question. Oops. Let me see. How about, what do I need to release in order to move forward with clarity? No, how about what's blocking my self-confidence, and how can I begin to reclaim my power? All right, so what's blocking my confidence, and how can I reclaim my power? So I think that the Psychic Tarot, because it does have chakra cards, and it's a little bit different, you know. I think this one might be a good one. Like I said, the keywords are on it, you know, so that always helps when you're trying to read fairly efficiently, especially when these really aren't Rider-Waite-Smith visuals. So having these keywords is good, because you can always recall the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. That's usually what I do, but with these you just gotta, like, I do have to use this because I forget what the colors are. Like, I think green is heart, I think purple is wands. These are the majors. I think these are swords. Yeah, I think. And this is earth, I think. But anyway, so yeah. And you know what? Yeah, I think this would be good. And even if I was, and to try and answer it, I probably won't answer this one, because I'll probably pick the last one to answer, because I don't want this video to be real long. But I think this would be a great deck to answer that question, you know. And in a pinch, it's got everything that you need, even chakras. You could even separate the chakras. And then, like, to reclaim my power, that I would even pick something else that would be like empowering for, say it's a woman, or something for self-confidence. Like, I have this Rose Pocket Oracle, but I was actually thinking more along the lines of like for a man, I might use straight Rider-Waite-Smith, something themed, because I don't have a lot of just specifically based on empowering men. So I apologize for that. Eventually I will. But, you know, but I do have a few that would empower women, because I would want to speak to the goddess in them. And so I think this deck would be really good for that, and pulling a card to help reclaim, you know, somebody's power. And yeah, these, I do really like the artwork. I think it's interesting. And I remember thinking, you know, in another video where this one really surprised me with the back, because the back's gorgeous. I mean, it's, and in the thumbnail, I put them all together, because when you put them all together, it looks really cool too. But anyway, yes, a little off track there. But I think that this one would be great for that. In fact, let's see, like, for an example, how could I reclaim my power? And then, so Kuan Yin. And then there's like, there's shadow aspect in this too. So, and this is pretty much alphabetical order. So, oh, there's symbolism, dragon, base of healing waters, doves, pearls, affirmation. I speak compassionately about myself and others. Ooh. So, I mean, to heal, that would be, was where I would start. And then I could say, you know, the shadow aspect of why she's having trouble reclaiming her confidence. That's a beautiful card, isn't it? So, sitting on the sidelines, she's built up a bit of apathy lately, causing her to disconnect from herself, her feelings, and the divine source around her. She's being called to connectedness by Kuan Yin and reopening her heart to others. So by reopening and connecting is reclaiming her own power, working with her heart chakra, opening herself up again. Wow, isn't that would be an amazing reading. So, and then how to work. Yeah, it's just learning to love yourself, and sometimes acts of service make you feel better, when you're giving. So sometimes maybe if we're lacking confidence in ourselves and we want to reclaim our power, it's just like stepping out of that comfort zone and just doing for others that you want done for yourself, showing that support that you want, and then those right people are going to support you back. Wow, that's great. Let's pick another question. Let's pick one more question, and I think I'll answer the last one too. Okay, so actually 2 questions, right? Because I think I've only answered 3. I think I'm going to go with, I'm unhappy at my job. Should I stay and try to shift my role or start planning a change? And this was actually a pretty common question that I had when I worked on the hotlines too. So, I mean, they're not always about love. A lot of times they are about job situations, which is so valid, And for this question, I totally believe in like my Rider-Waite-Smith for this, because I don't really have anything that's themed, and this is just classic, so I really prefer my Rider-Waite-Smith. So let's take out this. And so the question again was, I'm unhappy at my job. Should I stay and try to shift my role or start planning a change? Oops, I've got these all mixed up, don't I? Yes, I do. Oh, that was just the tower. Okay. Yeah, so again, I think for something like money and or just finances in general, I definitely like my Rider-Waite-Smith for that. So let's ask, and I'm sure I'll need a clarifier, and yeah. So this is something you could use a spread, a money spread, but why are they unhappy at their job? I'm sure the querent could tell me, but sometimes we don't see things, right? So let's see. I feel like this is very, there's going to be a story here. So obviously the querent feels defeated, There's something they can't let go of. So they're definitely in contemplation about it. And I would see this and I would think maybe there's somebody that the querent has conflict with. So all very important things. The story is still unfolding, right? So let's the next part of the question is should I stay and try to shift my role? Good question. Sometimes tarot can give you a straight yes or no. So we're building upon the story here, right? All right. We don't have to answer every question. We can just, talk about the decks that we want. But I chose to answer this one. So, you could answer every single one if you want. I would very much be interested to see your process. Now, with the Queen of Pentacles and this should I stay, I would say that the cards are really saying that there's still quite an opportunity here to, to keep building your future. The Queen of Pentacles is, she feels wealthy to me. She feels abundant. She feels like someone that is capable of creating a lot of stability. So I still would want clarification, because I feel like this could say that it's regardless of job or situation, that the querent is very capable of doing this for themselves no matter where they are. So I would definitely want a clarifier. And I think I would want something straight to the point. How about my little crystal ball? Let's see. Should the querent stay? That one. You're going in the right direction. Okay. So, should they shift their role or start planning a change? Sounds like, because of the question that I asked the cards, that it's shifting the role. Usually the querent will say, well, what do you think that is? Give me something. Then we can go back to the tarot and be like, well, what direction then? At the job. Well, it's definitely a change. So something way different than what they were doing. I think that, when you're in a conversation with the querent is going to direct you, with those questions. So hypothetically, I could assume, but I think I will stop here, because in a real life situation, I would definitely be dependent upon the querent to guide me if they needed to know, because they might automatically, okay, well, I know what to do then, So yeah, let's move on to the next question. And so for the last question, I'm going to pick, why do I keep attracting emotionally unavailable partners, and how can I change this pattern? So I'm going to go with the Baroque Tarot this time, because it's one that's very, again, romantic. Like I said, my light's not catching that, is it? It says, may this tarot deck bring you many years of fun readings with love, Mustafa. Now, this is one that my sister gave me, and I haven't done a walkthrough of it yet, but isn't that gorgeous? Yeah. All right. I love the backs on these and the gilding. I really dug this anyway when it first came out, and I just missed the window and hadn't backtracked to get it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's all in order. So I'm going to shuffle. Is why do I keep attracting unavailable partners? I think, wow, okay. That is something I was going to say, and if I haven't said it before, when it's a question about the querent, I do look for a significator. The Chariot would tell me this is somebody that moves quickly, and maybe they're very confident and they do drive their own bus, but I would want a little clarification on that, maybe something more of an archetype. So I would just keep pulling for a second to get an idea of the person asking the question. That's pretty significant. Somebody that's very generous, childlike, innocent. So I could see this person being intimidating. Yeah, okay. A person very capable of pretty much, I could see this person as being very coming off as intimidating to the opposite sex or the potential lover. So yeah, I would start there. But is it something specific that they're doing? I would keep pulling. Because this person comes off as maybe a little bit of even a goody two shoes, like always knowing the right things to say, sensitive, very confident in their abilities, able to take charge of their own life, so independent, loving, generous. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I'd say I would take all of these. So, not only is this person all of these things, but they're having trouble because one, it's not really them. I would say that it's more about the person that they are, maybe they're attracting a certain type and they need to broaden what they're looking for, because, with somebody that is very confident, they might have this idea of what they're looking for, but maybe they're anxious and they're wearing this anxiousness because of this situation. They're a little bit overwhelmed and tired of dealing with it. Maybe because they are looking in one direction instead of understanding that there are many ways to look. So if they're presenting, even though they might be a little bit intimidating, just because of their confidence and what they're exuding to someone else, they're coming off as unavailable. It could all be perception. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not allowing yourself to see beyond your own nose. You're dwelling on, what you've lost instead of what's still available to you. Yeah. So this is something that, and how can you break this habit? I feel like these cards are saying a lot. Like, I see a person that needs to get back to understanding that they have, the answers are within them, that they don't need somebody to complete them. So if someone is unavailable and they keep attracting that, then it's just, a little bit of perception. So I think that this, the Rose Pocket Oracle, when I think of rose quartz as self-love. So we can be this person that is got it all, be all that and a bag of chips too, but we can still lack self-confidence, right? So then I would, let's look at an oracle. And let's see. Oh, look at that came out. The bud. Potential. It's happening. Keep going. So don't give up. It's just the right person hasn't come yet, because you're worth all this. Don't let, because like maybe there's a little bit of impatience because that right person hasn't come along, and maybe there's somebody that you just haven't even considered. I wonder what the book says. Let's see what the book says. The bud. 105. Potential, it's happening. Keep going. It's an embryonic swelling on the stem of the rose that has the potential to develop into a flower. Yeah, this would tell me that there's somebody that she just has not considered. Because she has this preconceived idea. Obviously, she's somebody that takes charge, right? What happens when we get overwhelmed, then other things drive our bus, right? Yeah. I could see there's somebody. This right here is telling me that there is somebody that she's just not considering. She's crying over failed ones because she put too much expectations on them, right? And she was at the point of giving up. But, you know, there's someone else out there. Maybe it's somebody from her past even. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah. This was fun. And I really would love to see your process. I think that sometimes it's great when we, you know, hypothetically look at the different types of questions that that different people have, and given a little time to pick a deck is interesting, you know. And even a lot of us that have, if you just have Rider-Waite-Smith, have fun and just answer the questions. You know what I mean? I want to see your process. You know, do you pick a significator or do you just let it fly out? Do you pick a spread? Some people go with a spread. When I am reading for myself, I do tend to use spreads. Very much so. And like a collective reading is really good for a spread. And it's good for, you know, if you've got the time to search out a spread for a particular client that has a specific question, I say that's great too. My sister has a great spread deck, and then, you know, spread books for exactly what you're looking for. Always do the trick, you know. For like my sister's spread deck, let me show you that real quick because I only have the first edition. But for myself, if I was using that, I would, what I would do is I would draw and be like, okay, what do I need to know today? You know? So what do I need to know today? Like that. And whatever I get, that would be the spread. New moon in Aquarius. But I could go through these and actually look and see, is there one of these that I want to do? You know? But having a book, I have that one that I just got that you can use for tarot or oracle. But there's all sorts of spreads in here. So even having a book, and then you've got topics that you can look at. So something like this would be good, like a self-love spread, a shadow work spread, inner child spread. You know, something like that would be good. And then, you know, certain decks have certain spreads in them in the guidebook that you can use that are perfect for answering these types of questions. So I would really love to see your choices. What questions you choose to answer, what decks you would use. And is there one that you don't have that you think would work the best for that question? So yeah, thank you for joining me. I hope you found this fun, and I hope you join in. And I will see you in the next one.